Hello, friends, and welcome back to Malicious Compliance Stories. Let's start this video with a story about how a group of machinists used their oil-stained uniforms to expose some corporate hypocrisy and won. But before we begin, best way to support our channel is to leave comments, like, and subscribe with the turned-on bell so you don't miss the new video every single day. Here we go. How a hydraulic oil incident changed company policy. I work as a shift in charge in the machine shop of a multinational company that manufactures internal combustion engine components. It's a Tier 1 supplier, the kind of place that's all about precision, safety protocols, and, ironically, a pristine image. Our uniforms? White shirts and dark blue pants. Now, anyone who's ever stepped foot into a machine shop knows this is completely impractical. Between metal shavings, hydraulic oil, coolant mist, and general grime, keeping a white shirt clean is like expecting a fish to stay dry. And here's the kicker. The company only provides us 2 shirts per year. We've raised this issue multiple times, email chains, verbal complaints, even suggestions in our shift feedback meetings. Every time, the response from management was either a polite nod or a vague promise about looking into it. Translation: nothing ever changes. One day, I was troubleshooting a hydraulic press that had started throwing up pressure alarms mid-cycle. I was leaning in to inspect the actuator lines when, psh, one of the hydraulic hoses burst loose and sprayed me like a fire hose. I was drenched in oil within seconds. My shirt looked like I had wrestled an octopus in an oil drum and lost. Naturally, I went to the admin office the next day and asked for a replacement shirt. I even took the oil-soaked one with me as evidence. The admin guy didn't even look up from his desk. "Sir, it's just oil stain," he said casually. "Still wearable. Company policy says 2 shirts per year. Budget's tight." I was stunned. "You want me to walk around the plant like this? I look like I just escaped an explosion." He shrugged. "Not a big issue." "Fine, noted." Fast forward to the following week, word spread that the CEO and several high-level managers from the head office would be visiting our facility. Suddenly, the same admin team that waved off our uniform concerns were barking orders about being disciplined and presenting ourselves professionally. Posters went up in the break rooms: "Be the face of manufacturing excellence." Cue the plan. I gathered a few of my coworkers during the tea break. We were all fed up with the hypocrisy. I said, "You know what? Let them have a taste of their own medicine." On the big day, we all showed up in our absolute worst uniforms. Oil-stained, grease-smeared, coolant-blotched, shirts that hadn't been white since the monsoons. My shirt still had that hydraulic oil blotch from last week, now accompanied by an unmistakable smell. One guy had a tear on his sleeve from snagging it on a lathe spindle. Another looked like he'd been cleaning engine blocks with his chest. As expected, an admin manager freaked out the moment he saw us standing near the CNC bays. "Why are you all dressed like this? The CEO's coming. Are you trying to embarrass us?" I calmly replied, "Sir, your own team said oil stains are not an issue. We were told we can still wear these, remember? Budget constraints?" He blanched and whipped out his phone, calling the same admin officer who denied us the replacement shirts just days earlier. 2 minutes later, that very person rushed down to the shop floor like his shoes were on fire. Without making eye contact, he ushered us to the back office where, as if by magic, brand new uniforms had suddenly appeared. Folded, fresh, our sizes, even spares. It was like they had an emergency stash hidden for PR disasters. We all changed into the new shirts, now gleaming white, and resumed our duties before the CEO and entourage arrived. They toured the plant, smiled at our neatly pressed uniforms, and left impressed with the discipline and maintenance of the shop floor. After the visit, one of my coworkers leaned over and said, "So, oil stains are an issue now, huh?" I just laughed and replied, "Only when the big boss is watching." Since then, things have improved slightly. The admin team now keeps a few spare shirts on hand, just in case. And while the official policy hasn't changed on paper, no one dares refuse a uniform request anymore, especially not when a shirt looks like it lost a fight with a diesel engine. For a machinist, there's a reason the industry standard is dark blue. Every color under the rainbow's been tried. Some desk jockey must have thought that white shirts would incentivize the employees to be cleaner and more professional instead of sloppy. All it does is make the workers slower so they don't get their precious white shirts dirty. And our second story. How I became my slumlord's worst nightmare. I live in a low-income apartment complex that's part of a housing organization that owns over 500 units and over 20 complexes, and counting, in my area. The property managers have been running wild lately. The manager of that department's related to 3 of her direct employees and an awful person. She's a miserable person with serious control issues. She likes to meddle in tenants' personal lives, and when she doesn't get what she wants, will threaten eviction. I'm not entirely sure what I did to get on their bad side, but property manager boss, who I'll refer to as Jerkface, has had issues with me for a couple of years. About a year and a half ago, I walked out of my apartment to find a tow notice on my car. After doing a little research, I found out that the apartment complex was illegally towing vehicles by not giving proper notice. I reached out to a friend in tears, and she reached out to some local city officials, and I was able to save my car from being towed. But this just infuriated Jerkface more. She made it her goal to invade my personal life for her weird jollies. So I got together with some other tenants and officially started taking steps to begin a tenant union. About 4 months into my efforts, I found out that I had very early stage cancer that was able to be treated with surgery. I also had a very traumatic event happen in my home that required biohazard cleanup. Because of these events, I had to step back from organizing tenants. I've been told by a former employee that the property manager was happy that I was incapable of continuing my organizing efforts because of my health issues. After I stepped down, someone else took on a leadership role, and they were able to get community members to come together and start a coup. We rolled into the annual meeting where board elections are held 30 deep. We were able to get myself and a few other tenants elected to the board that night. The board's the organization's director's boss. I'm now Jerkface's boss's boss. I just sent off an email to the director chair and co-chair detailing how Jerkface is committing fraud. Edit to add, I become a member of the board for the organization and continued to work with the tenant union. OP has to recover from cancer and a biohazard in their home. Jerkface, whew, they're gone. Now back to legally towing cars. 6 months later, Jerkface. How'd she get 3 levels above me? And our last story. Karen blocked our family land for decades. My mother-in-law inherited a gorgeous 50-acre stretch of land near a well-known lake. The kind of place filled with childhood memories, camping, fishing, swimming, laughing around the fire with her brother and their kids. It's the kind of land that stays with you. My husband grew up making memories there, and to this day, it's one of the most special places in his life. Thing is, her land is tucked about 5 miles off the main highway, and the only access road runs through another property. No big deal for years. The previous owners were respectful and never once gave anyone in the family grief about driving through to get to their own land. Then 1995 happened. The property changed hands, and our nightmare arrived. Karen, a mouth that says, bless your heart, while trying to ruin your life. From the moment she bought the land, Karen decided her property gave her the divine right to police everyone else's. When my husband politely approached her, offering to pay an annual fee for easement access, mind you, Karen flat out refused. No discussion, no compromise, just a smug, no, this is my land now. Legally, yes, she has the right to deny access. Morally, she was spitting on decades of family history for the thrill of control. And what made it worse? Karen knew my husband's family. We're not strangers. His family owns several ranches. They're deeply respected in the area, and the man is practically a saint when it comes to keeping gates closed and land respected. Karen just didn't care. She liked the power. Years passed, then my mother-in-law's brother passed away. One of his last wishes was to have his ashes spread on that land, the place that meant everything to him. His kids, who live out of state, reached out to my mother-in-law wanting to fulfill his final wish, so once again, my husband went to Karen. You'd think maybe in the face of death and closure, she'd be human. Nope. She said she'd think about it. Really? Like it's a business transaction? After days of silence, she finally gave a stiff fine, probably hoping we'd thank her for the privilege. My husband, mother-in-law, and cousins went together, emotionally ready to honor their father and brother. They arrived, and there she was, Karen, lurking 20 yards away from the gate, watching them. Not even in this sacred, painful moment could she give them privacy. No respect, no decency. Just a cold, prying presence standing between them and peace. Fast forward to the present day. The land around Karen's was finally up for sale. My mother-in-law had a surveyor come out to figure out if she could possibly find a new way in, and miracle of miracles, it worked. Like a puzzle piece sliding into place, she found a way to access her beloved land, legally, without Karen's permission. It wasn't cheap, but it was worth it. For the first time in decades, she could come and go as she pleased. Karen was now just a bitter footnote. But the universe wasn't done yet. My mother-in-law also owns other scattered properties in the county. One of them, that's where my husband and I built our home. We use a septic tank, but one day we noticed signs on our property announcing that the county was bringing in a new water system. Sounds good, right? Except no one asked permission. No one contacted my mother-in-law. This was her land. Turns out the county approved a massive infrastructure project without her signature. They thought, small town, no big deal, she won't care. Guess who the lead contractor was? Karen. When I found out, I called my mother-in-law. She marched into the commissioner's court like a woman on a mission. She demanded answers, and no one had a good one, because they knew they messed up. You don't just start jackhammering through someone's yard without their approval. Emergency meeting, project shut down. They had to redraw the plans from scratch, and Karen was fired. The company dropped her, the county blacklisted her from future bids, and her little power trip ended with a humiliating crash. It cost the county thousands to reconfigure the project, but to us, that moment was priceless. Revenge served, and this time, no one stood at the gate. She knew exactly what that land meant to your husband's family, yet she still chose to play gatekeeper, literally, to their grief, memories, and even a dying man's last wish. She didn't just want control, she wanted them to know she had it. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.